This is the introductory tea party, mad tea party. Um, First is just a little check-in, we'll see how everybody's doing. And then I'm going to give a little presentation just in the spirit of the tea party, what it's all about, what our aim is here, what we're doing here. And then I'll ask a few questions to start. I have a few specific questions to start conversation after that. And then we're going to leave with some kind of inspired action step. Now that can be anything, because the point here is again to come together and to be in the space of possibility together, to tap into creativity, joy, play, all those things. So whatever action step feels right for you at the end, it could be something like it could be a self-care thing. It's like, maybe I'm going to get to sleep, every night at 10. Maybe it's I'm going to commit to making this piece of art that I've been saying I'm going to do. Maybe it's some kind of activism thing. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's walking in the woods. But whatever it is, it's some kind of action step that you want to commit um, to as a part, whatever you're inspired to do. This is a space of possibility that we're creating here because the space of possibility is saying like we know that there's stuff happening. A lot of it we can't control. A lot of it's not good, but there are creative solutions. And creative solutions start by creating a space where people can be lighthearted and open their minds and get out of any kind of despair, anger, fear, whatever it is, in order to let those solutions come through. And solutions can be big or small. They can be things, again, action steps that we each can take that ripple out into the world. Um, there's a lot of people, I think, and we've seen this on social media or within our groups, it can get very heavy. People can get kind of stuck in anger or despair and, frustration, whatever the word is. And I mean, same here, if I let myself, I can get caught up in those things. And I know it's not helpful. But not only is it not helpful, like it's not productive, it's hurting me. It's not helping my relationships. It's not helping the world, right? So what is going to help the world is the more that we're in, again, these kind of more balanced, centered, calm states of mind in which we can experience the joy. Um, that's what actually changes the world. You can change the world through violence. Well, I would say you're not changing the world. I think you're actually just perpetuating violence and anger and all those things. The more you feed anger with your own anger, the more anger there is in the world. So we're actually creating a space in which there can be more joy and where we can look for and see the possibilities. So, as we're creating this space in which we're starting to look for different perspectives, and it could be perspectives about what is happening on the world stage. It could be having an insight about that. Like one might be, okay, we're getting all this information from sources that are all completely biased, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but every news source has a bias, right? So we don't know what's happening, but we can't see everything that's happening. And what I mean is in the world behind the scenes, or what movements are popping up, or what great ideas other people are having about how to solve these problems. We're just seeing what we're being fed. So to stay open to the fact that there are always infinite possibilities, there are always infinite solutions to problems. And so that, to kind of, if you're seeing the problems from the way it's being fed to us through the news sources or through, social media, we're not open to the possibilities. We're just being fed, sort of problems and negativity. Getting outside of that or trying to look at all of it through different lenses gives us the ability to then say like, okay, sure, there's a problem, but maybe there are many solutions that we can all be a part of. What, big and small in our daily lives or whether we want to take a bigger step in some way. Um, but again, like this, the the idea is that we are generating positive experiences here, and that we take that into the world and we share it with other people, right? That's kind of just a basic law. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, right? And you go kick the dog and then yell at your spouse, right? You're spreading negativity. If, on the other hand, you leave a meeting feeling great and then you go hug your spouse and hug your dog, then, you're spreading joy. So it's just as simple as that. I think one of the problems that's happening, of course, is that we're in a crisis of consciousness in our country and in the world. People are living in these states of anger, fear, despair most of the time. That's why we're in the mess that we're in. So how do you fix that? You fix that by counteracting it with more of these kinds of, and you can use any words you want, right? Peace, calm, centeredness, joy, abundance, whatever, play, whatever word fits. So, and yeah, and humor and whimsy. And I mean, again, why do we watch The Daily Show? Because it makes reality more palatable. And so being in a lighter state of mind makes everything more palatable, but also, again, it doesn't mean you're ignoring what's happening. It means you're actually you're more available to creative solutions coming through, or to hope, to having fresh perspectives. So that's what the Tea Party is about. And of course, though, I just want to put this also on it. It's if you come in and you're feeling despair and that doesn't change, well, that's okay too. Like, sometimes we're going to have bad days, and even the Tea Party won't cheer you up, and that's okay. But so it's like there's no right or wrong way to do anything. It's important to validate everything that's happening, but as well as allow for new things to come through, new experiences. So I was picking up my edition of Alice in Wonderland, because I love Alice, and I relate to her in that you suddenly wake up one day and you're in this land of bizarre characters. Just a few days ago, I feel like I was in somewhat of a normal life, and now there literally is a Mad Hatter spouting nonsense on the world stage. There's a Red Queen yelling off with their heads. These bizarre things are happening. But the cool thing about Alice is, you know, she's a child, right? So she's got the view of a child, that sort of beginner mind. And it doesn't mean that she doesn't get scared sometimes. It doesn't mean she doesn't feel angry or frustrated sometimes. But she's buoyant. She's got the child's buoyancy. She bounces back. And then she gets curious and she's like, what does this mean? What do you mean? And she, excuse me, curiosity is one of those beautiful things that is, I'd say, an antidote to a lot of those negative emotions. Because when we're in tunnel vision, fear, anxiety, whatever it is, anger, again, we're not seeing possibilities. But the minute we get curious and we go, what could be happening here? Or is there another way for me to see this? That's when light bulbs start to go off. So curiosity is one of those tools that, I think we can all, keep in our back pocket for whenever we start to feel whatever we're feeling. The other thing about Alice, I was reading the introduction of this particular edition, which was written by Tan Lin. Oh, and a funny coincidence, I set these up to be on Tuesdays. Well, so supposedly Lewis Carroll, that was his lucky day. He said Tuesdays was his lucky day. So I thought that was a nice little synchronicity. I was like, okay, he's giving me his blessing here. But Tan Lin, who wrote the introduction, he said he was pointing out, how this story related, of course, to the world at the time in history. And it was pointing out what can and cannot be known at a particular historical moment. And so I think that sort of points to what we're talking about here, right? You can see all these things happening, things playing out, dramas playing out, these big, larger than life characters who, are carrying out whatever they're carrying out. And there's a lot we don't know, right? We're at this one moment in history, we have no idea how things are going to play out, what is going to come out of this. And it's good to remember that. The mind can sometimes go off in these catastrophizing, and it could be that bad, but also many things can emerge from crises, new movements, new ways of thinking, new philosophies can come out of crises or chaos. From out of chaos, new things are born. So even though it can look really bad sometimes, we just don't know. And it's good to remember that too. We don't know. Um, so the other thing that Tan Lin said about Alice is that when she arrives in Wonderland, she's already the most reasonable creature there. Because of course, again, children are not jaded. Their minds have not been corrupted by bad conditioning or too many news cycles or too many experiences. So she's got the clear common sense that kids have, which, is another just reminder to sort of be in that child's open mind, the beginner mind, wondering, because we don't know what all this means. We can stay open to what it might mean. We don't have to decide what's happening or where it's going to go. So, and then of course, as we're getting started in the story of Alice, curiosity again, she follows the white rabbit. Well, I'm kind of bored. Let me see where this is going to lead me. Curiosity meets opportunity, and she falls down the rabbit hole, and that could look like a really bad thing, falling down a rabbit hole. And it is. It's scary, and yet also she's like, well, what? Look at this. Like, what's happening here? She's nervous, she's anxious, but she's also looking around and kind of in wonder again to see what's happening. And of course, rabbit hole is one of those words that is used in our language now to mean a number of different things, but a lot of times it means being in a negative place or falling into kind of into a mental state that's unfamiliar or disorienting. And so that's I'd say where a lot of us have found ourselves recently down the rabbit hole. But also, again, where is it going to lead us? We have no idea. And so, throughout Wonderland and at this beginning part, she's down there in this long, dark hallway and she's frantically trying to figure out how to get out. And all these doors, she found a key, but of course it doesn't work in all these doors and she feels trapped. And how many of us have felt trapped sometimes in our sort of negative thinking about things, our inability to see outside of our perspective, our tunnel vision, inability to see new perspectives. But then, of course, behind a curtain, oh, there's a door and it leads to a garden and there's a beautiful garden. So there's hope, there's hope, there's garden out there. But how do we get to there? Because the door's too small, So like it's Alice's adventures make our life adventures kind of more amusing, right? And lighthearted. And we've all found ourselves in these mental states, right? Of feeling hopeless or trapped or, not knowing what's next, scared. But the story really shows us like different ways of expanding the mind in a particular moment. Well, let's drink some potion and see what happens. So that's what the invitation is here to have some potion together and see what kinds of new perspectives we can come up with, new possibilities. And again, I think it's starting with ourselves, right? And you're all talking about ways that you're doing that already, like being on a health kick, taking care of your body, meditation class, community, seeing theater, seeing art, like all of those things feed our souls. And I think now more than ever, that's what we all need. And it's like we've always needed that, right? But at certain times we realize we need it more. We need it even more, how important it is. So we're going to drink this potion together and we're going to see what kinds of perspectives, new perspectives come up. And that is today is the kickoff, right? So like going into the world and then every month coming back and seeing reporting back, like what have we seen? What emerging energies are we noticing? Because I'm noticing a few. Like I'm noticing this urge or this move of people towards more community. After the pandemic, it was like people were really kind of slow to creep back out again. But then in the past, I'd say couple of months, I've seen like people are like joining communities. They're like, okay, I need community now, which is a great thing. And the other thing I've seen is, even on social media, it's like, okay, social media is filled with like anger and vitriol. But I'm also seeing these other people, people who are posting who are also like, I refuse to be in anger. So I'm actually going to be only posting in like what you're doing on your Substack. I'm only going to be tapping into these things here, or at least, some of the time I'm going to be bringing resilience and inspiration to the mix because that's what people really need. So it's like keeping your eye out in the world, keeping your eye out for these other pockets of, you know, whatever word you want to use, positive energy or positive change. And whether that's community or movements or anything like, or just, even if you yourself go to the theater and have just an amazing time and you're reminded, oh yeah, this is what life's about. I mean, that's also another thing. So we're just keeping our eyes out for, again, the noise and the chaos is there. It's there. We can't ignore it. But when we start noticing what else is there, that's when we notice the emergent movements, the new, we could call it a parallel reality, even. You could call it we're creating parallel realities because we want to create our own reality. We don't want someone else corrupting our experience of life. Great. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming. Yay! First tea
Yay.
party. Cheers.
Yay.
I'm going to be doing these once a month. It's going to be the third Tuesday of every month. So write your commitments down because I'm going to check on them when we come back. And I mean, keep yourself in that sort of curious state of mind. And as you're observing things, as you're noticing things, just see what you're noticing. See if you're noticing any new communities or new movements or new ways of thinking that people are in the world are bringing up, and your own shifts and perspectives, because that's what, I would love to hear report back in the future. We can curate our reality. That's what I'm going to be doing from here on out, curating. So awesome. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful few weeks.